Yo, 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 yo. This is candibknittin. I'm Candy B. I be knitting. And first, I'm going to start with literally what I've just been working on. Like, as of like this afternoon, Saturday, I was watching TV with the family and I was in the middle of doing something and then came to do the show. But then we're going to continue our escapade into all of the bags I have around the house, talk about some people call them lingering whips, UFOs, whatever your terminology is for that. And then I'm going to finish with that library book I told y'all about last time. So y'all recall last week I was working on, I'm going to call this the coworker blanket, even though I decided last week that this is not going to be a gift for my coworker. But this is all of that Michael's wool acrylic yarn, and I was striping with the blue and the green, and I just used every single little bit of that yarn and made this square. And even up and through here you can see like a little lumpy bumpiness. I actually ran out of each of the yarns. I ran out of the blue quicker because I used the blue to cast on, and so there's a couple of extra stripes of gray, and I kind of supplemented some of that with just some random acrylic yarn that kind of matched. So there's like some lumpy white right here. That is just a different yarn, just so I could finish the row that I was on without having too much yarn left over. Like this tail here is scrap yarn. And I told y'all I was going to knit until I ran out of the Michael's yarn, and then I'm doing a border. And I did one part of the border, and I'm just going to do it log cabin style. By the way, this is just me knitting. This is not from any particular pattern. I cast on a certain amount of stitches that made sense. Did garter stitch. Then I put the edge of the blanket that I was knitting from on waste yarn, rotated it 90 degrees, and then picked up stitches and knit about 1.5 inches. And this contrast yarn is a cake of cupcake yarn by Lion Brand, and I'm not 100% sure. If I was a betting person, I would say Lion Brand does not make cupcake yarn anymore, just because that seems to be my lot in life. I think they focus more on the mandala cakes, but this is a cupcake yarn. It's called Sunny Day, and it's oranges and yellows and got some beige and kind of tan in it. And I figured the white and the tan kind of ties in with the gray a little bit, and then this orange is kind of bright and it contrasts with the blue, but then it also kind of reminds me of a desert in a sense, so it still feels natural as far as coloring goes. I'm thinking I'm probably gonna cut out this yellow because I don't care for that yellow, but we'll just see how far I get using this yarn. But so far I haven't used very much because I'm only adding like 1 inch or 2. And so I finished this one, then I rotated from this and went back to my cast on edge, picked up the edge of the piece of the border I just did, and now I'm in the process of getting my raw edge off of, I'm picking up and knitting stitches so that I can get this edge off of waste yarn. I'm going to cut the waste yarn, and then I'm going to knit, and then knit 1.5 inches that way, and then I'm going to rotate it again, pick up all of these stitches, and then last but not least, my actual cast on edge, knit. And then I just did like your basic cast off. I didn't do like an I-cord bind off. I usually do I-cord bind offs with blankets and shawls and stuff, but I figured I'd keep it simple because I do have like this bold blue and orange contrast happening. So I wanted to show y'all that because I was literally just working on it, was in my hands, and after this is over I'll probably go back and finish picking up those stitches. Next thing, let's get into some of these projects. This is my cozy bag. This is like, I assume it's supposed to be like some sort of pencil bag or something, but I use this for all of my like small projects, and it's become like Mr. Rulu's sock bag. Because I'm on that mission to knit this man 7 pairs of socks. This is pair number 6, I want to say, or 5, I don't remember. I have it written down somewhere. And I finished one of his socks, and this was just kind of sitting for a long time because this is once again something I'm just doing from my head based on what I know about socks. And so I cast on 72 stitches. I'm getting kind of tight. I'm becoming a looser and looser knitter. And so I am slowly but surely casting on less and less stitches for his socks. So this is 72 stitches. This might be the winner. It is a bit snug on his feet, but you know, superwash yarn socks, they're going to loosen up over time. And the thing that was the hang up on this one is that I just tend to be pretty slow on the first sock because I was going off the top of my head, kind of just playing it by ear. I decided to do an Eye of Partridge heel. And then once I decided on the heel I wanted to do and then executed the heel I wanted to do, then it was kind of smooth sailing to finish the rest of the sock. The other issue is that with when I was working my Vertices Unite, I was commenting on how loose my slip knits were, my SSKs were. And it was bothering me. But then I finished that project and I was like, well, maybe was just because of the nature of that project. Or maybe it was, the yarn I was using or the weight of the project was. And then quite honestly, once I move on from something, it's out of sight, out of mind. So I really wasn't thinking about it until I did the toe for this sock. And once again, if I can find it, and I think this is making the issue worse, is that I'm using DPNs. But I don't think y'all will be able to see that, but there is some holes happening in the toe where you do the decreases for the toe. And this is just a basic slip knit two together on one side and create the toe box. And so I was just like, I think it's because I was using DPNs, and I think it's also because I am becoming a looser knitter. And when I first started knitting, I was tightening every stitch constantly. And so when I mentioned that on my Vertices Unite video, someone did mention Patty J. Lyons, and I did look up her technique, and I'll put that in the description box below. And so I finished this, didn't realize what the toe looked like until I had Mr. Rulu try it on, and I was like, ugh, that doesn't look great. So what I'm going to do is I looked up that technique, and what I'm doing is I've started the second sock, and I'm still on the cuff, and let me see, oh, there's an extra. It's on DPNs, and I'm going to try that technique with this toe. And so when I get to the toe of this sock, I'm going to try that technique, and it just involves going into the stitches, going through the two stitches that you want to SSK at the same time and kind of twisting the second stitch. And I'm going to see if that works, and if it looks better than the first sock, I will cut the Kitchener or the grafting stitch out of that toe and re-knit that toe. If it doesn't work, I'm just going to use my yarn tail and weave in the end so that it tightens up all the loose stitches. But hopefully it works. We'll see. If anything, it is an SSK done in one step instead of two steps, so maybe it'll just be nice to do that. And this yarn is Knit Picks Felici, which is definitely a discontinued yarn. They've gone to Felicini, I think is what they call it now, and it's just got the shorter stripes. And this one is called Arcade Afternoon. So far I'm really enjoying it. Mr. Rulu tried on the sock and he really liked it. Super duper soft. I hear the Felicini, the base isn't different, but I've also heard from other people that it does feel different. So I don't know. I've not tried the Felicini yet. I do like the Felici just because it has these thick stripes, and that was what I was looking for. And so I'm kind of disappointed. I don't think I'll end up buying the Felicini because the whole draw to me for Knit Pick socks is that they have these thick stripes. So that's that. This colorway I really liked when I bought it, but now that I've knitted it up, I'm kind of confused by it because there's like the yellow and then there's like this greenish yellow, and I don't know why they decided to include both of them. I would have liked it better had they just picked one of the yellow family and stuck with it, or made this like a full-on green. It just feels, I don't know, it just doesn't feel super thoughtful. I'm not sure what the inspiration is there. It's like Arcade Afternoon, so everything's like supposed to be like a gaming reference, but I feel like the yellow, blue, red, that feels retro arcadey to me, but then throwing in that greenish yellow, just, I don't know. So that's that. And now that I've finished the first sock and I have the prototype, I am like the invert, whatever the opposite of second sock syndrome is, that's what I have. Like a lot of people, they'll knit the first sock and they're like, I don't want to do that ever again. And they'll have just first socks lingering around with no partners. But for me, I work out all the kinks on the first sock. And then once I get to the second sock, I'm just like, all I got to do is do exactly what I did the first time. And so this is going by much quicker. Like this first sock looked like this for like weeks. And I literally cast this on like a few days ago. And I'm already almost done with the rib. It's 36 rows of rib and then 12 stitches. I keep saying stitches. 36 rows of ribbing and then 12 rows of stockinette, and then I go into the heel flap, and that's just my own formula I've come up with. Like I said, I'm not using a pattern. I'm just using obviously the Eye of Partridge heel. I didn't make that up. I took a picture of my I own the Vogue Knitting encyclopedia book or whatever, and I just went to the page that had the Eye of Partridge heel, took a picture of it, and had it in my phone so that when I knit I can pull it up on my phone. And then the foot is obviously all stockinette, and then the toe is, you know, like I said, SSK, knit two together, SSK, knit two together, so that you create this symmetrical situation down here. So that's that. Next bag is my, what is this bag? This is my 29 Bridges free tote bag with purchase that I got from Shenandoah Fiberfest. And inside this bag are lots of balls of scrap yarn. Oh, here's my knitting needle with the actual whip on it. And lots of knitting needles and accoutrement. But let me see if I probably should have and that's why I don't usually bring bags on the show, because I like to have everything laid out because things get mixed up in the bag. But you can probably tell from me pulling this out, this is a doll of some sort or some sort of toy. And this is a doll I'm working on for my daughter. Oh, shoot. This was on hold. So this is the doll's head, and I need to get these stitches back on hold, so just give me a second. But I've been making, give me 2 seconds. So my daughter wanted a doll, and I was just like, ugh, gross, because I don't really enjoy knitting toys. I love knitting socks, but I just find toys to be super duper fiddly. And but I was just like, look, I have this book, I own it, and my child is asking me to make something, so I'm gonna take a stab at it. The issue, if y'all recall, is that the first thing I noticed about the pattern as I started knitting the pattern, okay, they're all back on hold. This is the head, and eventually, I don't know how you do the head actually, but it's on hold. I haven't, you're supposed to read the pattern before you start the pattern, but maybe I did read it and I just don't remember. But this is the head, and I think, yeah, I don't know how that's gonna play out. But if y'all remember, the thing that gave me pause was, one, this is knit with intarsia, and I had never done intarsia before, and then two, it's knit all in pieces. And so what I have here is a leg. I should have, this is the body. This is an arm. This is a shoe. This is the other arm. This is the other foot. And then she's got two little buns. So right now I've got one shoe. I'm working on the second shoe. And then I think that's all the pieces I need for the body, and then I'm gonna steam block those, seam them all together, stuff that bad boy, and then there's obviously clothes to be made. And this comes from the book Knitting Toys and Dolls by Louise Crowther, Laura Long, and Claire Garland, and I believe this pattern in particular was written by Louise Crowther. And like I said, there's the intarsia, then there's the fact that it's all knit flat, and that's it's all these different dolls that have different outfits and things happening with them. And so this is the doll my daughter wants, and each of my daughters want something out of here. So this is the first one I'm still working on, and I'm realizing that I'm just kind of prolonging the process. Okay, and her name's Martha. And yeah, so my kids want the dolls. They're only kids once in life, so I'm thinking I should probably pick up the pace on this a little bit. And the more I work on it, the less torturous it gets. And obviously, it's like I said, the more I work on this, I guess I'm trying to say is, I just need to hurry up and finish it. Very, very long story short, I just need to hurry up and finish it. So yeah, this is the doll. Yeah, you can see she's got contrasting hair, and that's where the intarsia comes in. And then the whole book has a series of different dolls, but it has the same kind of core construction. It's all flat, and there's and I'm assuming it's so that you can kind of play around and interchange different pieces. And then there's a method to make the shoes. There's a strap on the shoes, and there's all kinds of little things. So I am hoping that maybe I do learn a different perspective, even if I don't necessarily in the long run agree with that perspective. But I'm at least willing to try. I did learn intarsia, and also the only part that was intarsia is really the head. The other part that's intarsia is the sweater, and I learned intarsia already. I did it on the head. So I'm not gonna go out of my way to make an intarsia sweater for a doll. What I'm going to do, you can see how it's red and white in the picture. I have this this is like a sugar and cream cotton yarn, and it's got red and white and pink in it, and I feel like it's going to give the same effect of being in the same color family, at least, and give the same idea. It's also got buttons all up and down it. I'm not doing the buttons, and what I'm probably thinking about doing is, yeah, so you can see how it's like, this is the front of the sweater, and it's meant to button down the back like Miss Mary Mac or something. And so I'm probably going to figure out how to knit it in the round, because like I said, I'm willing to take the techniques so far. I'm willing to have an open mind on a few things, but even I have my limits. But I do want to wrap this up. I am using a lot of scrap yarn, which makes me feel good. The other modification is that all the patterns are fingering weight in the book. I'm just using all of my worsted weight scraps. I have a lot of kind of dish cotton type yarn, and I have a lot of commercial acrylic yarn, and so that's what I'm using it for. And the thing I've started to do is, like, on Sundays we usually watch TV as a family. We watch like a couple of episodes of a show we're watching together, or we'll put on a movie. And so I find that that's a good time to work on this, because spending time with my family, watching something that the whole family can enjoy, like we like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur on Disney Plus. There's a couple of other shows that we like to watch, like everyone in the family really, really likes, and so it makes it a little less painful. My daughter was also getting into like the Studio Ghibli movies, and we've been watching those together, and so it does make it a little bit less torturous. The other thing is also, because it is a doll that's meant to be stuffed, it's a little bit rough on the hands, because I'm trying to knit everything at a bit of a tighter gauge so that, you know, the stuffing doesn't show through. I still don't know what I'm going to use for stuffing, but I'm not even that close to the stuffing part, because I'm going to want to lay all of these out and steam them and make sure I seam them up really good. The other thing about this is not a super portable project, and so yeah, I'm just chugging along. I'm gonna put all these up here, and I'm gonna make sure I put this in here, like maybe put the head on the top so that doesn't, I have like these stitch holders, and it just kind of popped right open, so I'm not sure what to do about that. Maybe it'd probably be better to put it on waste yarn. I do, like, this feels like a nice little convenient way of putting stitches on hold, but I've never had waste yarn fall off on me before like that, so that's a little disappointing. And then I have a whole nother basket of scraps that I'm putting together for my other daughter for whenever I finish this. And then I will feel satisfied that I can then donate this book to someone else that is more interested in knitting dolls. Like, once my daughter also wants me to knit like her best friend a doll. I'm like, I don't think that's gonna happen. I will knit you two some dolls and maybe some of the extra clothes. The clothes, I actually enjoy making tiny clothes because I enjoy knitting, you know, human-sized sweaters, and so knitting a small sweater isn't so bad. But knitting small shoes, I'm just like, this is not fun. I'm trying to find the one my other daughter wants. She wants, not Jane, Pippa. Yeah, there's some cute doll clothes in here, so maybe I'll keep it just to make the doll clothes. She wants Polly, and I think it's because her favorite color is yellow, and she's got a little yellow, and she's got the purse too. You'll also notice that Martha had underwear on. I just knit the whole thing in the brown. I was like, I'm not putting, and it was actually, the underwear were striped, and you used 2 different yarns and striped the underwear. And it's like, I'm not doing that. But this one, only the face is the skin color, and then it's like the body is an outfit. It's like a light blue and white striped, and then she's got the overclothes. So I think that's going to be cool for her too, because it's like her doll has 2 outfits almost, and so she's quite clever when it comes to stuff like that. She probably was like, ooh, I get a bag and I get 2 outfits, and she's got the braids. So this is the other one that I'm going to be making, and hopefully I'm thinking that maybe perhaps once I make the first one, the second one, maybe like the socks, it'll be like, oh, I know what I'm doing now, and this is so much easier, and then I'll be able to come up with maybe some cheats or some shortcuts, or maybe I can figure out how to knit a couple of pieces in the round, or, you know, yeah, maybe, yeah. So that's that. Another whip y'all have not seen in a very, very long time. This is the tote bag I got from my daughter's school. The mascots on the other side, but it's actually a really nice bag for something I ordered from the school. I figured it would have fallen apart by now, but it's super big, super roomy, and it's filled with yarn. This is my Happy Place yarn bag. If y'all remember Tony Lipsy's yarn, TL Yarn Crafts yarn that came out last year from Hobie. I ordered 11 different colorways to make a giant quilt inspired blanket for my bed. And I was just like, oh, it's going to be so great because I'm doing the whole thing on straight wooden needles. And I was like, I really just want like kind of like a, almost like a throwback project because I've been knitting for so long. And I just felt very like nostalgic. I was like, I'm going to knit the whole thing on straight wooden needles. I'm going to seam up all these squares, and it's just going to be a really relaxing meditative project, which all of those things are true. But the problem is, in my mind mentally, I keep saying, oh, this is my long-term project, so I don't really need to work on that right now. That's my long-term project. There's no rush to work on that right now. And so it got to the point where literally I hadn't touched it in months. And I'm just like, I still want the blanket, so I'm going to actually have to schedule time to work on this, because you can't just keep saying, it's my long-term project. That's not going to get it done. I don't want to rush myself, and I don't want to stress myself out about it, but at the same time, I'm never going to get this blanket. And the issue that's come up is, this is the Kagan's quilt by Kagan's quilt. This is the schematic of the project. It's 4 different motifs that are going to get sewn together in the end. And it's Bloom hand. Oh, okay. So it is. I was gonna say Carolyn Bloom, but I figured I was gonna be wrong. But it's Bloom Handmade Studio, aka Carolyn Bloom. And I bought this pattern last year because I was just like, I really want something that's quilt adjacent, and I want something that's gonna like lay on top of my bed and make my bedroom look super colorful and inviting, but also something that's gonna be lightweight, so it could be in there in the summer. It'll be, you know, breathable. In the wintertime, maybe a little extra warmth. And I was just like, and I was really just falling in love with quilt motifs. Since then, Laura Penrose has put out the Sweet Shop blanket, and everyone's been making that. I'm like, oh, I really like that. And then I think Stephen West put out a blanket that was in DK weight, and I was like, oh, that would have been a good option. And so now I'm starting to get almost like pattern envy. and it's kind of making me resent this project a little bit. So I need to like consistently work on it and look at it so that I remember why I wanted to make it. And the only issue is that I'm starting with this motif here where I'm making all the separate squares that I'm then going to seam together. I think once I get to these other motifs, it's going to be less of a thing, because what happens is I'm making each of these squares individually, and then it's like, oh, I finished a square, so I'm done, you know, and I have like this thought that then the whole project goes away. But I think these are knit in more of like a continuous shape. So it's like, oh, one more row, one more row, one more row. So I'll feel like I get further in a knitting session. Because right now, each of these squares only takes like 30 minutes. But like I said, the fact that I keep putting it off and not prioritizing it, or I knit one square and then like don't touch it for a month. So last time y'all saw this, I had finally decided, and also I kept going back and forth with the colors I had and how I wanted to lay out this star motif, because you can rotate these different ways and get different shapes. And so I started off just making a square with each of the colors from TL Yarn Crafts collection, and then I decided, oh, this is how I'm actually going to lay them out. And so now I know how many squares of each color I need. And so these are my first squares that are all the solids. Then I finished all of my melange squares, and these are like, have the white wrapped in them. And now I need 2 squares each of these half and halves, and what it's going to be is the melange is going to be like, ooh, just knocked over a knitting needle. This is going to be, this is going to be the center square, and then these are going to be the points, and then this is almost going to be like a background color. Oh no, this needs to come up here. Yeah, this is going to come up like this. Don't worry about it. I'll fix it in post. Well, don't worry. I've laid this out. I know exactly what I'm supposed to lay out. I'm just very tired. And I need to block all of these, and they're going to be blocked to the same size. And then I'm going to use like a crochet join, and it's going to be real. And I'm actually making good headway with that. And I think it's because this is more, it feels more like a seasonal project. Because in the wintertime I was knitting a lot of blankets and sweaters and stuff, and because this is like a nice lightweight, it's cotton and wool together, but it's super pleasing to work with, and the squares are super lightweight. And we took a drive last week to see my in-laws, and it's a great car project because I have all my yarn I need in my bag. I'm just working one square at a time. I've memorized how to make the squares. And so I think this summer, as we're doing, summer is usually like our road trip time. Winter is more just sitting in the house, chilling. And so wintertime, I'm doing a lot of spinning, or I'm working on like big projects that need a little bit more attention. And I think this is going to be a good one to just take my bag, get in the car, and ride. And I think I got all these squares done on the way to my in-laws' house. And so I just need 1, 2, 3, 4, then these. And so, yeah, I just need 4 more of these half and half squares, and then I'm going to block them all. Then I'm going to seam them all. Then I'm going to measure the whole thing, and then that'll kind of guide the rest of the project. I do think, and that was the other thing too, whenever I know that there's going to be a roadblock, I kind of slow down on certain projects. And I do know probably I'm going to have to get more of this yarn, but I want to get further into the project before I go order, you know, I don't want to order more yarn and then still need more yarn. And then I also want to see how the colors are laying out and see what colors will complement what I already have. See if I want to order the same colors and add to it, or get different colors out in the collection, because I have all of these. I have the red, blue, yellow, green here. Then I have the teal color in the solid in the melange. And then I have the almond color And this is what I wanted to use as an I-cord border, and I don't know if one ball is going to get me there, I thinking, because this is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And so if anything, I'm going to have to order more of this, but it might be a time to order a bunch more, because I do like working with this yarn, and I can see myself knitting other things with it. Last but not least, as far as project bags are concerned, this is my Magner bag, my, what is it, the waxed canvas project bag. And inside this, I just want to quickly key you into my Pouf. My Pouf I'm not super active on right now, because you can see last time I saw this, I was like pretty much at the collar area, and I've split for sleeves, and I'm almost done with the body. The issue is with the body, the pattern is like, literally says 9.5 inches or to whatever length you want, which is fair. But 9.5 inches gets me to like my belly button. And so the pattern itself is very much kind of cropped. It's like a relaxed fit, but cropped at the same time. And so I'm mostly just using the pattern for stitch counts, and I'm mostly changing everything to fit my personal taste. And so I want this to be a practical cardigan. And so for that to be, I need the body to be longer. I'm trying to get down to at least my hip bones. And so rather than 9.5 inches, it's probably going to be more so like 11, 12 inches, and then still 2 to 3 inches of ribbing on top of that. I have in the past been guilty of being like, oh, that's long enough, I'll just bind off here, just because I'm sick of knitting. So I am trying to take it slow with this, because I do get impatient. And so I'm just like, I'll knit a few rows here and a few rows there. And I am probably, like I said, probably an inch off from where I want to be. And on top of that, it's getting quite heavy. And I'm not a person that hates purling, but purling is tougher on my hands than knitting. And so I also can't knit on this for too long. And so just every day I've been knitting 1 or 2 rows, and then eventually I'll be done with the body. Then I'll do the ribbing's going to be a little bit slower. And then I don't know if I'm going to fully block or just steam block it. And then I'm going to pick up and do the collar, and then I'm going to do my sleeves. I was reading someone's Ravelry page where they said once you knit the collar, the way the sweater hangs kind of changes. And so I'm going to do the collar first, so that I know that my sleeves are exactly where I want them to be. So that's that. Last but certainly not least, I wanted to give you an update on the library book I talked about last time. This is the Yarn Spinning by Vanessa Kroening. Like I said, it took me like a couple of days to read. I read it in the car, and it's good. I liked it. It's a quick read. A lot of great information. Obviously, relatively large print. Lots of really good pictures. I did feel like I said last week, she starts off like with selecting a fleece and how to wash it, and gets into fiber prep, gets into how to use color, blending boards, all of that. And then she probably halfway through the book, she gets into how to actually use a drop spindle and how to draft and applying. And so it did get to the point where it felt like the spinning was almost an afterthought, but still good information. Like she gets into like how to get it off the spindle and put it on a nitty knotty. And then let me see, this is how to balance the yarn. Okay, so we're on page 86 in the last quarter or 20% of the book, and she gets into drop spindle techniques, and it's probably like each page, like she talks about spinning from the locks. Then it's a page on thick and thin singles, a page on threading with doing a ply while putting beads on your thread. So good techniques and information about the techniques, but it's literally like just 1 page per technique when the book is called, Spinning Yarn with a Modern Twist. And so if you're looking for a book that goes deep, deep, deep into the techniques, I feel like, because I was saying how I wanted to improve my twist angle, and I want to, I have certain goals in mind, and I just feel like I said, it just felt like an afterthought by the time we got to the actual technique parts of it. And it's a lot of because a lot of the techniques reference art yarn. It's a lot of like park and draft techniques. And I don't know if I would want to park and draft to make an art yarn on my draft spindle. It feels quite cumbersome. The couple of things that I really, really, really liked about this book. One, it's beautiful pictures. And the samples she has in the book, she has samples of knitting, spinning, and crochet in the book, which I don't usually see a lot of hand spun mixed with crochet, and weaving too. I mean, not forgetting the weaving part. But I definitely don't see a lot of crocheting with hand spun. And she goes into showing the different techniques in the different crafts. So this is weaving, and it's weaving with what's she saying here? Oh, this is the doing a thread in an auto wrap in a weaving. Or let me see if I can find the crochet one. Oh yeah, this is where you do a glitter, like a thread with sequins on it, and spin with a thread of sequins with your raw fleece or with your fiber. And then this is how it looks crocheted. And so I thought that was really cool to show the technique and show an example of the technique and show an example of the technique with different fiber arts. Surprisingly enough, the other favorite thing is there's a piece in here. She makes, what's she call it? She calls it a monarch bat, where basically she makes a bat. She takes a picture and makes a bat based on that picture. So she has this picture, this monarch butterfly, and her technique is that she uses like software, or you could probably use a pen if you just had a print off of a picture, and she split the picture into 10 parts and then kind of calculate it based on that. She took 100 if you are creating a bat with 100 grams of fiber, she kind of assigned percentages to each of the colors she saw in the picture. And so this is the final result. This is the different fibers she put together, with the inspiration being a monarch butterfly. So mostly orange, a little bit of black. There's some green blurred in the background. There's a tiny bit of green there. And I just thought that was really interesting. I don't see a lot of people, going into color theory like that and showing their techniques. And this is the picture of the bat that she ended up making based on that picture. And that's something that I'm kind of interested in. Color theory, the idea of blending colors together to get different colors, but then also, like these people come out with bats and rolags and hand painted fingering weight yarn, sock yarn that are based on like photographs or based on movies, and I think that's an interesting technique, and just pretty cool. But yeah, so definitely, I mean, like I said, if your library has this, yes, go for it. And it is a pretty thorough resource on the entire, looking at fiber as a whole. But if you are looking for like, I really, really need to get deep, deep, deep into this particular spinning technique, maybe if I had read it in a different order. And she gets into dyeing too, how to dye yarn. So maybe if it was called Everything You Need to Know About Spinning, I would have probably had a different perspective. But the fact that it was like, oh, I'm going to really level up my drop spindle techniques, I didn't feel that way. But still, it's still a great book. Just not what I was expecting. So I don't want to make it seem like it's just terrible or I disliked it. I just was like, there was not a lot of like actual, yeah, she gets into, how to balance the yarn, how to measure wraps per twist or wraps per inch, how to, the different plying techniques, how to make a plying bracelet, center pull ball, how to make a ball. And so it doesn't leave a lot of place for, being like, oh, if you're, she goes into how to pick a drop spindle based on the weight of it. But yeah, it's 2 pages on how to spin a single. And it's like, hey, this is, start spinning, and then you spin a single, and it's just like, okay, can I troubleshoot this? How do I know I'm doing, I don't know. And also maybe it's because I have been drop spindling for, you know, a couple of years now. Maybe if you're like brand new to drop spindling, you'd find extra information in here, but so 4 stars out of 5. So my throat is very dry now, and I feel like I've been talking and rambling for quite some time. So this has been candibknittin. If you enjoyed what you see, please like, subscribe, all of the YouTubey things. If you want to talk to me, drop me a comment. Or you can email me, candibknittin@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on Instagram @Rulude. You can hit me up on the Ko-fi. That's Rulude on Ko-fi. That's it. Until next time. Peace.